Alrighty, Chapter 8, Reasoning and Decision Making, Section 3. Alright, deductive reasoning. Reasoning is the use of information to reach conclusions. There are two main types of reasoning, deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. In deductive reasoning, the conclusion is true if the premises are true. A premise is an idea or statement that provides the basic information that allows us to draw conclusions. In deductive reasoning, we usually start out with a general statement or principle and reason down the specifics that fit that statement or principle. In inductive reasoning, we reason from the individual cases or particular facts to reach a general conclusion. In inductive reasoning, the conclusion is sometimes wrong, even when the premises are correct. Spain and Portugal are near each other, and they have similar languages. Sweden and Norway are near each other, and they have similar languages. Therefore, countries that are near each other have similar languages. But even though some countries that are near each other do not indeed have similar languages, this does not mean all countries that are near each other do. In fact, the statement that countries that are near each other have similar languages was really only a hypothesis or an educated guess rather than a conclusion. In the previous example, the hypothesis is shown to be wrong. Japan and Korea are near each other, yet do not have similar languages at all. But assume for a moment that the hypothesis was correct, that countries that are near each other have similar languages. How could that hypothesis be proven? Only by comparing the languages of every single country in the world and showing that all countries that are near each other have similar languages. However, it is quite easy to prove that the hypothesis was wrong by providing only one example of countries that are near each other and have different languages. It is impossible to prove the assumption reached by inductive reasoning to be true. We can only prove it false. But people often fail to realize this. As a result, they seek to prove or confirm their hypothesis rather than disprove them. Even though inductive reasoning does not allow us to be certain that our assumptions are correct, we use inductive reasoning all the time. And until we prove a hypothesis is false, we assume it to be true. So, for example, if we have read two books on a particular author and enjoy both books, we conclude that the third book by the same author will be also enjoyable. I do that all the time, actually. Until we find a book that we do not enjoy, we will probably go on reading that author's book. Inductive conclusions do not follow logically from premises, or deductive conclusions do. They are accurate often enough that we can rely on them on our daily lives. So, if you find two similar things, most likely, the third thing will most likely follow that, is basically what that's trying to say. So most scientists, including psychology, rely on inductive reasoning because it seems to be the best source of reasoning, I guess you could say. Scientists gather specific pieces of information, and then they come up with general theories that explain the information. However, no matter how much information scientists have to support all particular theories, they can never know for sure if the theory is true all the times in all situations. There might still be some information not collected that would prove the theory false. So even though you have two theories that go along with each other, the third one might not be entirely true. All right, weighing in costs and benefits. Life is filled with decisions, and most of these decisions are fairly minor. Some examples are, should I take a jacket with me? Do I want a burger? Or do I want the salad? Yeah, you're going to want to go with the salad. Other decisions, of course, are major. Should I go to college or get a job right after high school? What political candidates should you support? Making decisions means choosing among goals or courses of action to reach goals. When we are making careful decisions, we weigh the pluses and the minuses of each possible course of action. We think about the importance of our goals, and we consider our abilities to overcome whatever obstacles may lie ahead. To make good decisions, we often need to gather information about our goals and our abilities to attain them. All right, so the use of a balance sheet. That's a listing of various reasons for or against making a particular choice. That can help us make sure we have considered all the valuable information. I do this at times too. A balance sheet might be a list of costs and the benefits of taking an action. For example, if you're trying to decide whether to participate in certain extracurricular activity, you might make a list of the advantages, such as gaining experience or having fun, and you'd also make a list of the disadvantages, losing time to do other things. A balance sheet can also be useful when a person is trying to decide between two or more alternatives. Listing all the alternatives and the reasons for each one may help the person visualize which of the alternatives is the better course of action. The balance sheet might also help indicate areas where more important information is needed. A word of caution, though, is appropriate here. When using a balance sheet, one should not simply total the number of pluses and minuses to make the decision based on the numbers. The balance sheet can clarify the issues, and some of the issues may be more significant than others. All right, shortcuts in decision making. Weighing the costs and benefits may be the best thing to do whenever we want to be sure to make the right decision, but weighing costs and benefits can be sometimes consuming and not always practical. Furthermore, in order to weigh the costs and benefits, we need to know what they are, but we often have to make decisions based on somewhat limited information. In such cases, we use heuristics, and that is to take shortcuts. All right, the availability of heuristics. One way that people make decisions is based on the availability of information in their immediate consciousness. And this is called the available heuristic. It basically just says what you already know about something or someone. Events that are more recent or better publicized than others also tend to be more available. For example, whenever a plane crashes, the event is very well publicized. Car accidents, however, cause more death than airplane crashes in the United States, but because the publicity given to the airplane crashes, people are more likely to fear flying than they are to the fear of driving, like myself. They overestimate the risk of flying and underestimate the risk of driving. I do that all the time, of course. The media also tends to focus on acts of violence, such as murder. As a result, people tend to overestimate the amount of violence in the United States. So that's basically saying that the media blows things up. All right, a couple more slides here. The representative heuristic. Imagine you're taking a true-false quiz. The quiz has 6 items. Which of the following answer sequences do you think is most likely to appear on the quiz? True, 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 true. False, false, false. True, true, true. Probably this last one. Right here. True. It's something to really mix it up a little bit more. Probably the third one. Why? For one thing, you know that 6 trues in a row are very unlikely. Unless I was trying to play some type of game with you guys. Second, you'd probably assume that your teacher wrote the quiz in a random mix of true and false answers. The sequence true, false, false, true, false, true looks random, as opposed to all trues or a little bit of falses and trues afterwards. Based on the representativeness heuristic, people make decisions about the sample according to the population that the sample appears to represent. Representative heuristics can be misleading. You're basically assuming the answer to the next question when that might not be the case. So in other words, don't always assume what you think is going to happen, because the opposite might happen. All right, the anchoring heuristic. Another shortcut that people sometimes take in making decisions is called the anchoring heuristic. When using the anchoring heuristic, people make decisions based on certain ideas or standards they hold. Ideas or standards that serve as an anchor for them. For example, people often decide to go along with things they have learned early in life. Early learning serves as an anchor in thinking. So, if you have grown up in a family in which everyone else votes in the elections, you're probably going to expect to vote as well. The expectation is the anchor in your life. Benefits about politics, religion, and other ways of life are also common anchors. When something happens, it makes people question the beliefs they have grown up with. They might change their beliefs a bit. This happened to me when I moved out of my parents' house. When people form judgments or make estimates, they begin with an initial view called a presumption, and the initial view serves as the anchor. As they receive additional information, they make adjustments, but such adjustments are often difficult for people to make, and sometimes people are unwilling to make them. All right, that sums up section 3. Peace.